Good morning, everybody. My name is John Gallo. I am the Executive Director of Contact America, and today we're going to talk to you about the adoption of technology in the construction industry. Now, we have Asbel Viciero, who is an investor in Context and PropTex, and at the same time, he is the chairman of Contact America. So, Mr. Viciero, thank you for joining us, and it's a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you, John. I appreciate being invited, and I'm looking forward to talking about Contact.
Okay, great. So the thing that is very interesting to me and to a lot of our viewers is the construction industry is a $1.3 trillion industry in the United States. And the ecosystem is comprised by architects, engineers, builders, developers, general contractors, a lot of subcontractors, and the owners and those financial companies that really make it all work. And so today I want to ask you, Mr. Viciero, what is the state of the technology adoption in the construction industry, Contact?
That's a great question, John. As we think about adopting technology in the construction vertical, we can compare it to manufacturing and agricultural since 1945. And in doing so, McKinsey came up with a great study that showed that agriculture adopted technology and had an increase in output by 1,400%. When you think of the same in the manufacturing sector, it's approximately 800%. But when we look at construction as it is today, the adoption curve has not really been such where there's been an enhancement in efficiency. Now, having said that, during COVID, all verticals adopted technology more readily due to necessity. And I can tell you that we're seeing a very expedited process of adopting technology in construction, unlike it's ever been seen.
Very good. So what would you say are the greatest challenges across the construction scene today in technology?
So fragmentation, it's a highly fragmented industry, number one. Number two, it's an industry that through its idiosyncrasy has chosen to not adopt technology. And then finally, I would say to you that it's been a series of factors, if not a confluence of events, that has slowed down and made the construction industry a laggard in adopting technology, including factors that are regional around the country.
Very good. So that's a lot of good information. Now, what do you think is happening or you foresee happening in labor, in construction, and the adoption of technology to substitute that labor or make it more efficient?
You know, the lack of skilled labor is not something new. Nevertheless, it's something that is reaching new highs. So when we think of construction and skilled labor, I can give you some examples of the Southeast United States, where for every 2 individuals that are retiring from construction, only 1 is getting into construction. And you see the same with the average age of an electrician or a plumber, where that average age has gone up significantly because individuals have not gone to trade schools and have not become apprentices, and accordingly, the average age has steadily risen.
Very good. Let me go another area that I think that is important for the construction industry, which is the communication within all of the segments that have to do, that work on a project itself.
That's another great question. So you have multiple parties working on a project, but the communication may not be real time. And if the communication isn't real time, then you have errors and omissions as you're doing the work. And according to certain studies, this is over $31 billion a year in costs. So when we think of communication and we think of transparency, historically, there's been a disconnect. But we're seeing that change at a pace unprecedented, as I said earlier.
Okay, that's very good to know. And I have a follow-up, another question that has a little bit to do with communication, but this one we're talking about data. What do you see the potential of adopting technology where the use and the reading and interpreting data in construction?
As I said just a second ago, you're seeing data being used in construction unlike ever before, where it's not only the builder, but the entire supply chain process is using this data to be able to make the best decisions and the just-in-time decisions that don't slow down a process in construction. Let me add by saying that we have almost been trained, if not mentally conditioned, to think that construction should cost more than what we were told, and it should take longer than what we were told. So this is where data, communication, and frankly, the ability to enhance this technology component is going to make a very big difference in the future, and we're already experiencing that with major builders and developers around the country.
Very good. So now I have another question which has to do a little bit more about Comtech America. What do you feel that we as an association can help in the process of technology adoption?
Yeah, Comtech America was created to expedite the technology adoption in the construction sector. And by educating the marketplace, and you mentioned all the stakeholders at the beginning of the conversation, from developers to builders to the financial community that supports it, to all of the subcontractors in that process, along with the supply chain and not excluding architects, engineers, et cetera, we're going to see that that Comtech America is communicating with all of those parties, bringing them together in adopting not only technology, but best practices along the way.
So thank you, Mr. Viciero. Thank everybody for joining us today.